Safeguarding is an important principle in our modern life, but it's often used by institutions as a way to, effectively make money. And it's used as an excuse. And I'm afraid now it's being used as an excuse for Suella Braverman to announce something when it's not necessary. So there is a situation where sex offenders who are on the sex offenders register might change their identity or might change their gender, and then they're under an obligation to contact the local police to tell them that they've done that. But it's their obligation, not the police or hospital's obligation, or indeed even the system's obligation to inform the police when a name is changed. So Suella Braverman's solution to this, recognise the problem, but it's the solution she proposes which is perverse, is simply to deny sex offenders the opportunity to change their identity or change their gender. So in other words, to stop them doing something that is legally possible for anybody else. So in other words, to punish them again. And that seems disturbing. People can change. Anybody is legally allowed to change their name by deed poll. It seems to me that that process should automatically trigger a link to the sex offenders list. It seems to me that somebody who changes their gender should automatically trigger a link to the sex offenders list. Suella Braverman's solution is that this isn't possible. And I'm sure there'll be a lot written about this. There has been a campaign for an outright ban, which apparently has cross-party support. Mark Fletcher, particularly, who's a Conservative MP, has campaigned for the ban, saying that sex offenders are exploiting loopholes, current loopholes, in different ways. Well, yes. Well, then the important thing about that is to close the loopholes rather than create a new punishment. And Sarah Champion, who's a Labour MP, called for a marker to be placed on the DVLA and HM Passport Office records of all sex offenders, which would raise an alert when an application for a name change comes through. She's right. Alex Chalk, the Justice Secretary, is apparently going to announce changes to the law that will take parental rights away from a parent who's been found guilty of murdering the other parent. And he will introduce what's called Jade's Law into the Parliament by the end of the year. This is after Jade Ward was stabbed and strangled by her partner Russell Marsh. And despite serving 25 years in prison for his murder, Marsh still retains parental rights, and Jade's parents have been campaigning for that to change. And so all of this really is a rider to the Prisoners and Victims Bill, which will now create an automatic suspension of parental responsibility from a person who's convicted of murder or manslaughter of a co-parent or somebody who shares parental responsibility. But I think it is an important factor that we have to be very careful that we are not punishing somebody twice for the same crime. And I think we're coming very close to doing so in both issues. When there are perfectly reasonable systems in place, we just aren't implementing them properly. And so rather than ensuring that the system is working accurately, we're now changing the law to add a new offence, effectively, or a new punishment for the same offence. I think we're likely to see this challenged legally, that is if it's imposed as an offence. If it's imposed simply as a sort of social workers' convention, then probably it won't be challenged. But it's disturbing. It's disturbing. It won't affect very many people, but the principle is disturbing. But then, frankly, I'm getting to the point where anything that Suella Braverman and Alex Chalk propose is going to raise eyebrows and raise my hackles.